In this video, I'm going to talk about the use of toString, actually a little more advanced use of toString. We're going to concatenate or build strings from strings. Um, so in this program, I have I'm going to model a classroom. I'm going to have a student class, which represents a student with a string and a grade level. I'm going to have a constructor here that's going to set the student's name and grade level. And this class, the student class, is going to have its own toString, which is basically going to print out the student's name and the grade level. Then I'm going to build a classroom of students using an array list. So I have a constructor that's going to create a new array list. I'm going to have an add student method that adds a student to the class. And then I'm actually going to write a toString for the classroom that calls the toString of the student and goes through and builds a class roster. So it's going to look something like this. I'm going to create a classroom with 4 students, names and grade levels. And then I'm simply going to print out the classroom. Notice how the classroom is the word Lou's classroom. I'm just going to print it out, which the intent of this is to go through and just print out all the students in the class, meaning there's implicitly a toString method for the Lou object, which I really don't need to write. It's understood. So how do I write that method? Let's go to the classroom class. So right now I have a dummy set of code that just returns a empty string so it would compile. But what I really want to do is I want to cycle through the students in the classroom and build a string of all their names and then return that string. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a temporary string. Then I'm going to cycle through for each student S in my class. Remember, my class is in this classroom. 1, 2, 3. And what I want to do is I'm going to, as I cycle through, plus equals each student, calling toString on each of them. And I'm going to also add in here a new line or the next line so that they print on one line per student. And after I go through all of the students in my class, I'll return that string that I just built. So basically I'm adding or concatenating strings upon strings, just adding them and stringing them together, stringing strings together. So let me compile this, no errors, and go back and compile everything. And then remember the driver is 4 names, and I'm simply going to print the classroom. So I'm going to run this. And when I do it, you can see that the classroom's toString method called each student's toString method, and classroom made a larger string based on students and printed it out. So this toString method was called by the classroom toString. In fact, I actually don't even need to write this because the compiler knows that if I'm trying to print a string out or get the string part of it, because I'm dealing with strings here, it knows, or it's smart enough to know I'm calling toString. So if I compile that and do it again, it still works. Of course, you can always put the toString in there if it's a little clearer to you, so that you know which toString is calling which toString. So that's a little more advanced example of how I can call one toString from another toString in another class.